I welcome you all to our Bhagavad Gita class. And before we start, let me just recap. So the objective of this class is to enable reading of the shlok and to understand the meaning of the shlok and to help understand the basic philosophy of Gita. What we have covered till now, we are on second chapter, and the name of the chapter is Contents of Gita Summarized. What we have covered till now is the first first section where Arjun was indecisive, and then he accepted Lord Krishna as his guru. That was the first section, and then Krishna started explaining the dilemmas for Arjun. The second section covered the Gyan or Sankhya Yoga, which is the analysis of body and soul. The third section covered about Sakam Karm Yoga, which is basically Karm Kand, that you should perform your duty with fruitive result. That is what Krishna talked about to Arjun. And then he talked about the fourth section where he talked about Nishkam Karm Yoga. When we talk about Karm Yoga, it is basically Nishkam Karm Yoga, right? Doing your duty without any expectation from for results, right? Attached to the results. And today we'll be starting the last section of this particular chapter, which is called Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya, that is the qualities of the liberated soul. We'll be talking about if someone is liberated, if someone has already crossed the three modes of material nature, what are the various qualities of that. And then we'll be finishing this chapter by the glories of Pad Purana, story of this particular chapter. So what we learned in the last class was that Karmaniya Vadika Raste, where Krishna said that please you have to do your prescribed duty, but do not get attached to the results, because you are not the cause of the result. There are so many causes, and then never go for inaction. You have to do your duty. Inaction, not possible. You must do your duty, but don't get attached to result, and you are not the cause. Then he talked about not only that you have to do your duty without detachment, but you have to be equipoised. You have to be equipoised. Yeah. And then he talked about that you have to keep all the abominable activities, you can keep it away by surrendering to Krishna and by the devotional services, right? And then he talked about Buddhi Yoga in the Nishkam Karma Yoga. He talked about Buddhi Yoga, and he said if you are performing that, there are four major advantages for that. First is you get rid of your karmic reactions, right? That is a very important thing. All your Sukriti and Dushkriti, you get cleared that in this particular life itself. And then he talks about that you will get free from the cycle of birth and death. That is what he talked about. Then he said, and you'll become indifferent to the fruitive activities. And if you do all this thing, what will happen? You will finally attain the divine consciousness. You will finally attain the divine consciousness. And now Arjun, listening that, asked Krishna in the next shlok. So the next shlok, which talks about what is this, how is this, what is this divine consciousness? How does it happen? So let's talk about, take the shlok number 54. Arjunuvacha Sthit Pragyasya kya bhasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta Kimasita rajeta kim Sthit Pragyasya ka bhasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta Kimasit rajeta kim. Vanji.
Sthit pragyasya ka bhasha
Samadhistasya Keshava
Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta
Sthitadhim kim prabhasheta Kimasita vrajeta kim. So now Arjun, listening to the last section that Krishna spoke, that if you do all these things, you will get divine consciousness. Then he's asking Krishna, O Keshav, O Krishna, Sthit Pragyasya. Pragyasya means Pragya is intelligent. Pragya is intelligent. Sthit is steady. Someone who is steady, who has a steady intelligence, basically who is already in divine consciousness, because he talked about that, right? Ka bhasha. Bhasha is language, right? So what is the language? Basically, Bhasha, and the Acharya says Bhasha means is asking, what are the characteristics, what are the symptoms? How do you recognize that this person is transcendently, he is actually, he is actually crossed the modes of material, and he has become transcendental, right? So what is the symptoms by which I will recognize that this is a sthit pragya? Yeah, that is the question he's asking. Then he said, Samadhistha Keshava, sthit dhi. Dhi is again buddhi, intelligent. Kim prabhasheta. Prabhasheta means speak. How do they speak? Yeah, someone who's a sthit pragya, how do they speak? And then Kim asit rajet. Kim asit. Asit means sit. How do they sit? Rajet means walk. Kim. Now, so he's asking, when he says, when Arjuna is asking, how does he speak? He's asking, basically his question is that how does he respond when the others, when the others talk to him, in the sense, if someone is talking to him in angry, if someone is asking, talking to him, insulting him, or if someone is, ignoring him, what is the behavior that, how will he speak? How will he respond? That is what Arjuna is asking. That's what Acharya explained these words as, right? So let's first read the meaning. Arjuna said, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Yeah. So as I explained, this is coming from the old last bit, what Krishna said. So here, symptoms. So basically, there are 4 questions which Arjuna is asking now. Yeah. First, for a sthit pragya, what are the symptoms? How would you recognize? Right? That's the first question he's asking. Then he's asking, how would he speak? Yeah. And when he saying speak, it means how is he going to respond to the external people when they are talking to him, when they are getting angry on him, or when they're insulting him, or when they're ignoring him? How is he going to respond to that person? Third question, when he say Kim asit, asit is sit. When he's saying Kim asit, he's saying, how does he control his senses? How does he control his senses? Sit means how is he responding? Like, how does he control his senses? And Rajet is walking. How does he use his senses? So basically, he wants to understand how does a person in transcendental consciousness behave, in short, right? So, as we know, see, anyone, if someone is a rich person, they do, by their symptoms, there's some symptoms which is specific to the rich person, isn't it? Similarly, someone a poor person, by his symptoms, you can say this is a poor person. If someone is deceased, by look at it, you will know that this person is deceased, right? So each person has a characteristics. So now he wants to know what is the characteristics of this. So this is what is the question. Now we go to the next shlok. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanevatmana Tushtha Sthit Pragyas Tadochyate Shri Bhagwan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanevatmana Tushtha Sthit Pragyasta Dochyate Rupa. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partha Manogatan Atmanevatmana Tushtha Pragyasta Dochyate. So Shri Bhagwan Vacha. Now Krishna responds to this question. Now in this particular shlok, Krishna explains the first question that was asked by Arjun. That is, what are the symptoms of a sthit pragya? Yeah. Prajahati yada kaman. Yada is then, kaman is all the desires. Sarvan, all. Sarvan is all. Parth who Arjun. Manogatan is mental concoction. Manogatan using his mind. So, yeah. And Prajahati means he gives up all the day. He gives up. Atmane vatmana tushta. Atmane is he is self-situated. Tushta is satisfied. Sthit pragyasta dochyate. And that is the characteristic, that is the quality of a sthit pragya. Now let's read the meaning. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
O Partha,
O Partha,
when a man gives up all varieties of desires
when a man gives up all varieties of desires
for sense gratification,
for sense gratification,
which arise from mental concoction,
which arise from mental concoction,
and when his mind,
and when his mind,
thus purified,
thus purified,
finds satisfaction in the self alone,
finds satisfaction in the self alone,
then he is said to be
then they said to be
in pure transcendental consciousness.
in pure transcendental consciousness.
So here Krishna explains that when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, yeah. So what we do is, the person who is sthit pragya, he is totally situated in self. All his happiness comes from within. Yeah. So what normally happens for all of us, we think that we look for happiness outside. And why do we look for happiness outside? Because we feel we are incomplete. Why do we look for happiness outside? Because we feel we are incomplete. And to complete ourselves, we start looking for things. Yeah. Yeah. It could be, it could be any material thing. You think that, okay, wherever I am, I get a big house, I'll be happy. I get a car, I'll be happy. I go to this place, I'll be happy. I go for this vacation, I'll be happy. That is how we all define happiness as. But what happiness? It is like a pendulum. Yeah. We think about it, we go. But what happens once we reach there and we come back, we are back to the same. After some time, we are at the same level. And we start looking for happiness again. Yeah. That's how our life is. Yeah. So, because we all believe that happiness comes from outside, but actually, for a sthit pragya, someone who understands that happiness is within, you have to look for happiness within. Yeah, it's a question of, there's a have you heard a story of musk deer? So there's a musk deer, a type of deer through which this musk scent that we have, musk smell, that is produced. Yeah, so that is inside his body. That musk is inside his body. So what he does is that whenever this musk, when it gets mature, the chemical starts secreting. Yeah, when this smell comes, it's very intoxicating and very strong. A lot of perfumes are made of this smell, which is like, really famous. Yeah. So what happens is, when this deer actually gets this smell, he doesn't know it's coming from his body. So he starts running here and there in search of that smell. So when that chemical gets secreted from his, when it gets mature, it gets secreted, the smell is so strong that the deer starts searching for the place where exactly the smell is coming from. And it keeps on running, looking for the smell. And finally, the deer gets so tired that he dies. Similarly is our situation. We all believe that happiness is somewhere. We keep on searching happiness. Yeah, to satisfy our body. And finally, what happens? Looking for happiness, we all leave our body. We forget to connect to God. Yeah, that's a typical life of a human being, isn't it? Look around. Yeah, so it's like a musk deer. But who is a sthit pragya? What does he do? Atmane evatmana tushta. He is satisfied in self. He doesn't need anything else. Yeah. So that is what So someone who is like that, when you see someone who is satisfied in themselves, find happiness in themselves, and it doesn't mean that, you are just sitting doing nothing. No, Krishna says you have to do your duty. Inaction is no place. Inaction, there's no place for inaction. You have to do your duty. You have to do your duty detached, equipoised, right? So that is what Krishna says. And Sthit Pragya has understood that. So he does his duty, but he does the very important part is he connects to God, and that is why he gets from there he gets the divine consciousness. Clear? Yeah. So this slok talks about the symptoms of a Sthit Pragya. Then there's a shlok in the 6th chapter, and where Krishna says that, the mind, our mind, someone who has controlled the mind, someone who has controlled the mind is the best friend for that person. But someone whose mind is not controlled, it is the biggest enemy. And Sthit Pragya is one who has really controlled the mind, and he determines what should be done when. He determines what should be done when. Yeah. Now, sorry, we go to the next shlok. Dukheshva anudikvamana. Sukheshu vigatspriha. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. Sthidhir muni ruchyate. Dukheshva anudikmana mana. Sukheshu vigatspriha. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. Sthidhir muni ruchyate.
Dukheshu anudikmana.
Dukheshu anudikmana.
Sukheshu vigataspriha.
Sukheshu vigataspriha.
Vitaraga bhaya krodha.
Vitaraga bhaya krodha.
Sthidhir muni ruchyate.
Sthidhir muni ruchyate. So, Dukheshu is basically when you are in miseries, right? Anudvigmana is not disturbed. Sukheshu means happiness. Vigatspriya is again, it's not elated. It's not elated. Vit means free. Vit means free. Free from rag, bhay, krodh. Rag is attachment. Bhay is fear. Krodh is anger. Sthidhir muni, the person who is Sthit Pragya is like that. Okay, he's fixed in his consciousness. So let's read the meaning of it. One who is not disturbed in mind.
One who is not disturbed in mind.
Even amidst the threefold miseries. Or elated. When there is happiness. And who is free from attachment. Fear. And anger. Is called a sage of steady mind. Yeah. So, Dukheshu. Yeah. So the first word is Dukheshu. Dukheshu is basically miseries. So as I talked about that, when we are born in this material world, we become conditioned. Our soul becomes conditioned, and we get conditioned by the three mode of material pleasure. We are basically mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Similarly, when we are born in this world, we get affected by three types of miseries. That's called threefold miseries. By default, it is there. And those three miseries are called Adhyatmik, that is caused because of our mind and thoughts. It is because of us, whatever we think of, and we create miseries for ourselves because of our thoughts. Yeah. Then Adi Bhautik. Bhautik is sansar. Yeah. Something which is outside. Yeah, many people, they bite, mosquitoes bite them, or they're always troubled by some bhautik, other living beings and all. So which is they're always troubled by someone else. So Adi Bhautik. Bhautik is sansaric, right? And Adi Devik. Adi Devik is by natural disasters. So these threefold miseries can attack you anytime. By default, they are part of us. Yeah, it may happen, disaster may happen, natural disaster may happen, may not happen based on your karma. Yeah, but our internal, the way we keep on thinking something, and adhyatmic, we create a problem for ourselves just by because of our thoughts, and externally because of even mosquitoes or relations that we have, they will trouble us. So that is adi bhautik. So these are the threefold miseries which we get impacted to the soul as soon as it comes to this material world. So now here Krishna is talking about this, answering the second question that was asked by Arjun, that how does he speak? Yeah, and then it is speak means, he said, how does he respond to the various stimulus, external stimulus to him? Yeah, how does he, how does he react to various external stimulus? So now here he's saying, dukheshu anudvigmana. He is not disturbed, he's not affected. He doesn't get, his mind doesn't, his mind doesn't get affected by the, when he is put into the miseries, right? Sukheshu vigatspriya. Sukheshu is happiness. Sukh. When he says sukh, he is not overexcited. He's not elated. Understood? Vit rag bhaya. He is free of attachment, bhaya, fear, and krodh, anger. And that is what, this is how he behaves. The sthiti munirichate. So one who is, did you read the meaning? We read it, right?
Yeah.
One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst of threefold miseries. He is not disturbed in mind, and neither is elated in happiness, and he is free from attachment, and that is what is called as sage of steady mind, right? Now, it means he is equipoised. Now, if you go back to the starting, what Krishna started, when Krishna started talking in the 14th and 15th shlok, he talked about 15th shlok. He has always been, till now, this is the third time he's telling us that we have to be equipoised. He has to be equipoised, right? He says, Sama dukha sukham dhiram somrittaya kalpate. Before that, he said that when Arjun kept on arguing, he said, see, matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukh dukhada agama apayano anitya tam titikshasu bharata. If we are born in this material world, happiness and distress is going to be a part of us. Sukh and dukh is going to be a part of us. They are just like, their appearance and disappearance is just like summer and winter season. It comes and goes. They are temporary. It will keep on happening. So what we need to do? We have to, and it is just because of our senses, matra sparsha. It's because of only senses. So what we need to do? We need to tam titikshasva bharata. Tam is for, to all this, you have to tolerate. There's no solution. You have to tolerate. It is becoming because of our karma and so many other things. So you have to tolerate. Yeah. And then he also says in the next slok that sama dukkha sumaykritva dhire somrit. So those who are equipoised in sama and dukh, happiness and distress, happiness and so what happens? Well, they are the one who are eligible for liberation. They are the one who are eligible for liberation. So what does that, who is a sthiti? How does he behave? Whatever external stimulus comes, whether it is sukh, dukh, he will always remain steady. He doesn't get impacted. Yeah. Now we move to the next slok. Now, so before that, there's a story I would like to talk about, and this is of the king Rantidev. Yeah. So what happened was, Rantidev was this story is from Bhagavatam. So he was a great king, and he believed in giving. He used to always give whatever he used to have. Anyone, he'll keep on giving. He was such a big donor that finally he gave away everything, and he himself became very poor. He came into a situation that there were many days passed, and he didn't have food to eat. He didn't have food to eat. And then what happened after say 40 plus days, when he got some food to eat. When he got some food to eat, he distributed among his family and was about to eat. Till then a Brahman came and asked for bhiksha. So what the king Rantidev he did, he gave his part to, thinking that he is a Vaishnav, he's a Vishnu avatar. He gave it to him. And then again, the family gave him as soon as he started eating, the second time he started eating, then a Shudra came, someone came. Again, he gave that food to him. Third time when he started, again this will happen, he started eating. Then again, a third person came, asked for food, and he gave that. To the extent that the water that was left, that also someone came and he gave the water, and he was so thirsty and hungry that he was like, but he was so satisfied that, he had something to give. Yeah. And he was almost like, in a almost in a dying situation. At that point of time, the Trimurti, all the three goddess, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they came and they told that, they are very, very happy with him, and they had the one who had come to test him out. Yeah. So and to test him out. So this is the example of Ranti Dev. He had no bhay, he had no attachment. So such people are Sthiti. They don't have attachment. If they want to give, they'll give, and even at their own cost, they keep on giving, and still they are very calm, not impacted, and they keep on continuing their work, right? So this is the story of King Ranti Dev. So now we move to the next shlok. Yah sarvatra anabhisnehas tat prapya shubhashubham na abhinandanti na dveshti tasya pragya pratisthita yah sarvatra anabhisnehas tat prapya shubhashubham na abhinandanti na dveshti tasya pragya pratisthita. So here, yeah is in this material world. Yeah. Sarvatra, everywhere. Anabhisnehas. Ana is unaffected. Unaffected by what? Shubh, Ashubham. Shubh is again good, and Ashubham is evil. Yeah. Na abhinandanti. Neither he will praise for it, and neither na dveshti. Neither he will despise it. And that person is firmly fixed in the perfect knowledge. That person is perfectly fixed in the perfect knowledge. So again, let's read the meaning. So maybe Momita, please read.
Ya sarvatra nabhisneha.
Ya sarvatra nabhisnehas.
Tastas prapya shubham.
Tat prapya shubhashubham.
Na abhinandanti na dveshti.
Na abhinandanti na dveshti.
Tasya pragya pratisthita.
Tasya pragya pratisthita. Let's read the meaning. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So here, how is the pragya pratisthita? Pragya, how is the sthit pragya behaves? Whatever happiness he gets, whatever shubh he gets, whatever good he gets, whatever evil he gets, he is not going to complain. He is not going to complain. He is neither going to be very happy, neither will praise. Abhinandanti is praise. Neither will praise for it, neither he will despise it. He will be firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Yeah. So let's go to the next shlok. So here, there's again a story about a person who displays this characteristics. So what happened? Once there was a king, and his minister was like a sthit pragya, very wise. Whatever happens, he was always happy, no reaction. And if ever king will ask him, okay, is this okay? He'll say, yeah, everything is good. And king was really tired because he wanted him to, have some other reaction. But he was so calm, quiet. Yeah, everything was good. He was always happy. Everything is good. Whatever happens is always good. So one day what happened? The king was doing something and his finger got cut. His finger got cut. So he thought, now I must go to my minister and ask him. So he came to the minister. He said, look, my finger is cut. Is this also good? He said, yeah, must be good. Must be good. He said, now this guy is like, ultimate. He took him and he said, now he put him in prison. He put him in jail. He said, is this also good? He said, must be good. Now what happened? Next day, the king, along with all other ministers and his whole troop, he went for into the forest for hunting. Now, when he went for hunting, there, he was really riding very fast, and he actually went too deep inside the forest, and his troop was left behind. Only one minister could follow him. So both of them actually kept on going deep, following a line, and they kept on going deep. And suddenly they were all surrounded by a group of dacoits. So the dacoit, first of all, he took everything to the king. He took all the things that the king had. And after that, what he did was, he took the king to the head of the dacoit. Yeah. Now the head of the dacoit was actually going to perform a sacrifice. Yeah, he was going to perform a sacrifice. Now looking at the king, ekdam hale and hearty, he was very, very happy. He ordered that now he should be dressed and made ready for the sacrifice. So he was taken, he was properly, given bath and all decorated so that he can be actually given the bali. Yeah, he can be sacrificed. So what happened when he was being dressed for the ready for the sacrifice, they noticed that his finger was cut. So they went to the head. Now sacrifice has to be a full body. You can't have a cut in the body. So they took it to the king and said to the head and said, look. So he said, okay. Now he doesn't qualify for getting sacrificed. He just put him aside and he asked, okay, let the minister come. And then the minister was, he was seen and he was found okay and he was sacrificed. Now king, realizing that, he came back immediately. He was released because he was of no use. His finger was cut. He came back. He directly went to the jail. And he opened the jail and said, come out. I agree. Whatever happens is for good. Yeah. And I agree and thank you. I believe that, and whatever you say is good. But tell me one thing. I had put you in jail. Why did you say that is also good? What good do you see in that? He says, see, if I would not have put me in jail, I would have been the one that would have been sacrificed. I would have been the one that would have been sacrificed because I always go with you. I am the one who is always going with you. But because your hand got cut and you put me in jail, I got saved. So, Asthit Pragya is like that. Yeah. His reaction is always, okay. Whatever happens is always for good. So, Asthit Pragya is equal to all situation, accepting each situation, good or evil, as God's mercy. Yeah. So, how does he see anything? Even if something bad happens, he sees that as a God's mercy. And if something bad happens, he says something good must be there in that. And he doesn't cry or anything. He continues to serve the God with the same love. He thanked God that probably, I actually deserve some much more, severe punishment. But because of you, I was saved. I only got this little punishment and, I got saved. But he doesn't stop serving God. He continues serving God with love. And if something good happens, he again thanks God. I didn't deserve it, but you are so kind that you gave it to me. In that mood, he always continues serving, right? So we should be thankful for whatever good or bad comes in our life, and all these are based on body. And no situation we find ourselves by chance. It happens by the perfect arrangement of Lord Krishna. Never blame anyone for our distress. Never blame anyone for our distress, and continue to serve Krishna, right? So now, it is the next to this, how he speaks. Now the next question comes, that is, how does he sit? That is the next question. And when he says sit, it means how does he control his senses? How does it sit means? What does he do with his senses? Sitting is like it is a stationary position, right? So how does he handle his senses when he's not doing it? What does he do? So let's now read this particular shlok. Yada sangharate chayam
Yada samparate chayam
kurmonganiva sarvasha
kurmonganiva sarvasha
indriyani indriyarthebhya
indriyani indriyarthebhya
tasya pragya pratisthita
tasya prajna pratishtita
yada sangharate chayam
yada samparate chayam
kurmonganiva sarvasha
kurmonganiva sarvasha
indriyani indriyarthebhyas
indriyani indriyarthebhya
tasya pragya pratisthita.
tasya prajna pratishtita.
Rupam.
Yada samharte chayayam
Yada sangharate chayam
kurmangani iva sarva
kurmonganiva sarvashah
indriyani indriya teve
indriyani indriyarthebhyas
tasya pragne pratishtita.
tasya pragya pratisthita. So yada is then. Sangharate. Sangharate means withdraw. Sangharate means withdraw. Kurmo means tortoise. Kurmo is tortoise. Ang is limbs. Sarvasha is every time. Yeah. Indriyani Indriya is your senses. And Indriyarthebhya is sense object. Yeah. Tasya pragya pratisthita. So here Krishna says, let's read the meaning and then we'll go into detail. One who is able to withdraw
One who is able to draw
his senses
his senses
from sense objects
from sense objects
as the tortoise draws its limbs
as the tortoise draws its limbs
within the shell
within the shell
is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
So the meaning starts with Indriyani Indriyarthebhya. Indriyani Indriyarthebhya. Indriyani is your senses and senses from the sense object. How does a sthit pragya actually behaves with his lips? Just like a tortoise, when he sees a danger, what does he do? He withdraws all its limbs inside. It withdraws all the limbs inside. Yeah. And similarly, how does a sthit pragya behaves? Whenever he sees a sense object, he will withdraw himself from that. When he sees a sense object, all his senses he will withdraw. Yeah, just like a tortoise withdraws its all limbs inside within its. So this is how the sthit pragya behaves. So now, basically what we are, all of us, so there are two things. Either we are Godas or we are Goswami. Yeah. So sthit pragya is a Goswami. What is the meaning of go? Go means cow. At the same time, go also means senses. Go also means senses. Yeah. So Goswami is the one who has a total control over he is a Swami. He's a master of his senses. Yeah. And who is a Godas? Who is a servant of his senses. So who all are we? We all are Godas. We have no control on our senses. Yeah. Whatever we see, if we see something good to eat, our tongue is always starts asking for it. Yeah. We keep on speaking without thinking. Yeah. So what we are actually Godas. Our eyes is always looking for some pleasure outside. Isn't it? Our ears always want to hear something. Yeah. So that's how we are. We all are Godas. And what we should become? Like a sthit pragya, a Goswami, someone who has a control, who's a master of the senses. Right? So, what Krishna does, he compares our senses, ourselves with our senses like as a poisonous snake. What the poisonous snake will do? It wants to be free and running around. And what is a sthit pragya? He's a snake charmer. He controls the senses. He decides when should he let his sense allow to do what he wants to do. Understood? He's like a snake charmer. He will not let his sense go hayway. He has a complete control over his senses and uses the sense accordingly, right? So this is what is the meaning here. And then we go to a story. And this is about story of King Bharat. Other day we talked about King Bharat, right? So King Bharat was a great king. And after, having a royal, enjoying a royal throne, everything, during his last phase, he decided to go to forest. And when he decided to go to forest, he was doing his penance and he was very busy doing his penance. But finally, what happened? He saw a pregnant deer. He saw a pregnant deer, and that was being actually attacked by a lion. And what happened? The pregnant deer gave birth to a baby and died. So what did King Bharat did? He took that deer and kept it near him, and finally got too much attached to the deer. And in the end, the king who had come to forest to do penance, what happened in the end? When he died, because he was thinking about the deer when he died, next life he became a deer. He became a deer. And after that, the good part was he remembered all his previous life. He remembered all the good thing that he had been doing, all the tapasya he had done. He remembered that. And in the end, after deer, he got the next life as Jad Bharat. He's called as Jad Bharata. Yeah, Jad Bharat. So this is a story about Jad Bharat. So Jad Bharat, what happened was, now he's nothing but he is actually the King Bharat. Now in this life, he knew the mistakes he had done in his previous life, and he wanted to get liberated in this life. So when he was born, he again remembered all his previous life history, right? So what he decided, he will not speak. He behaved like a dumb and deaf. Jad Bharat, he behaved like a perfect dumb and deaf. Even his family could not understand that, he actually understands it. He just behaved like a dumb and deaf, moving here and there. And but internally, he kept on praying to Krishna. Internally, he kept on praying to Krishna. And once what happened, and this is how he continued in his life. Now, once what happened is that there was a king, and the king Rahuguna, he was actually using his palaki, through his palaki, he was being taken to some place. And there were 4 persons who was carrying that palaki. There are 4 people who were carrying that palaki. And one of the person while carrying, he got actually, he was not feeling well. And they were looking for a replacement. Suddenly he saw that Jad Bharat was actually standing, he was sitting somewhere here and there. And everyone knew that he is the most foolish person, because he never used to speak. He was just indifferent to the entire world. So what happened is he was called, and he came there, and he started carrying the palanquin of King Rahuguna. Now, what happened was, because he had that consciousness, when he was taking this palanquin, he was very careful that even he should not kill an ant. And each time while carrying, whenever the ant used to come, he used to stop and cross over that. So what used to happen, whenever he used to get stopped, suddenly you should stop, there used to be a jerk on the palaki, and king used to get. So once he got angry, then again Jad Bharat kept on doing like this, once, twice, thrice, and then 4th time the king got very, very angry, and he got so angry that who is this, and he wanted to punish, and he started talking started scolding Jad Bharat, and started, and at that point of time when he could not tolerate, he allowed his tongue to speak. Yeah, and that is the Sthit Prajna. He knows when to speak. And when the king really started talking, scolding him for everything, then at that point of Jad Bharat started speaking to Rahuguna and explained to him the entire philosophy. So everyone who should think him to be the most foolish person at that point of time, and King Rahuguna, who thought he is one of the common man who is carrying the palanquin, when he heard the philosophy, the philosophy that he was speaking, he actually felt well. He did a Dandavat Pranam to him. He got down and he did a pranam to him, and later I think he became his disciple. So this is how a sthit pragya is. He's very careful to use his senses. He knows when to use his senses, right? So now we go to the next slok, 59, slok number 59. Vishya vinirvana vartante niraharyasya dehina rasvarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate vishya vinivartante niraharyasya dehina rasvarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Umisha.
Vishaya vinivartante.
Vishya vinivartante
Dehina.
niraharyasya dehina rasvarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So let's read the meaning of it. Though the embodied soul
Though the embodied soul
may be restricted from sense enjoyment,
may be restricted from sense enjoyment,
the taste for sense object
the taste for sense object
remains.
remains.
But seizing such engagements
But seizing such engagements
by experiencing a higher taste,
by experiencing a higher taste,
he is fixed in consciousness.
he is fixed in consciousness.
So here, the first word is dehina. Dehina means the embodied soul. Who are we? Although we are spirit soul, but we are embodied. We are inside this body. So we are the embodied soul. Yeah. So what happens to the embodied soul? Vishya vinivartante. Vishya is basically the sense objects. Yeah. Vinivartante niraharasya. So embodied soul, he may be restricted from sense enjoyment, but he may try to restrict his sense enjoyment, but because rasvarjam rasopyasya, but because he had enjoyed the taste earlier. If we are forced to restrict our senses, yeah, then what will happen? Because we have enjoyed that, we have the taste of that ras earlier, it is very, very difficult to control. It is very, very difficult to control. Yeah. But unless param drishtva, the only way to stop it is when we have got a higher taste. How can we actually control our senses? When we are attached our senses to some which is higher taste. Yeah. So here it talks about, when we talk about restricting our senses. Yeah. Now think about a deceased person, a person who is sick. When he goes to doctor and doctor says, okay, now you have diabetes, and from today you can't eat any sweet. And imagine he was a sweet lover. So what will happen? By force, he's been asked not to eat. Yeah. So do you think he'll stop eating? As per the doctor's direction, he should not eat. Yeah. But because he has that taste, he will continue. He may get, because of wife and other people will get angry. He may not eat at that point of time. But imagine he even maybe self also, he thinks I should not eat because this is not good for me. And imagine he has got for a marriage party, and he sees a box of gulab jamun kept there, and he loves gulab jamun. What will happen? What will happen? He'll see no one is seeing. He will take not one, he'll take few and eat it. Yeah. So if you are forced, by forcefully you're trying to restrict your senses, then that in your mind you have still that enjoyment. You're not actually leaving it. You're not actually leaving it. It is just externally you're forced, and so it will never go away. It will continue to be there with you. Yeah. And it's only unless you engage your sense, unless you purify your sense, and the only way to solve the problem is to purify your senses. When you purify your senses, and how do you purify your senses? By engaging your senses to Krishna, to God. So when you are engaging your senses to God, what happens? Slowly it starts getting purified. And when the senses get purified, what will happen? You will have the capability to restrict it. You'll have the capability to restrict it. So let's see the Next shlok. Shlok. Yatato yahayapi kaunteya
यतरोऽयपि कौन्तेय
purushasya vipaschitaha
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
indriyani pramathini
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि
haranti prasabham manah
हरन्ति प्रसवं मनः
yatato hyapi kaunteya
यतरोऽयपि कौन्तेय
purushasya vipaschitaha
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
indriyani pramathini
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि
haranti prasabham manah.
हरन्ति प्रसवं मनः
Avi.
Yatato hyapi kaunteya.
Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini prasanti prasabha mana. So here we look at indriyani pramathini. Indriyani is our senses. Senses are pramathini. They are so strong. The senses are so strong. Haranti prasabha mana. And haranti is taken away. Prasabha means by force. So it is like kidnapped. The man, it gets kidnapped. Yeah, the senses are so strong that they are forcibly carried away. Yeah. Yatato happy kaunteya. Oh kaunteya, it is not only for ordinary people. Even for the person purushas vipaschita, even for the people who are trying their best, who has a very good knowledge of right and wrong. Vipaschita is who have the knowledge of discrimination. They know what is right, what is wrong. Yeah. Even to those people who are trying their best to control their senses, but what happened? The senses are so strong that they are forcibly carried away by the mind. Right? They are so strong. So basically, even not for us, general people, they know that this is they can be easily carried away. But even for people who have been doing tapasya for a long time, even for that, it is so strong that it can be taken away. Yeah. So we'll look at some stories. The story about Vishwamitra. I think all of us know the story of Vishwamitra, right? Vishwamitra, yeah. He was such a big yogi. He was such a big yogi. He spent his so many years and years for penance. Yeah. And he was such a big yogi that he actually was, going to create a place equivalent to heaven. And Indra got scared as usual, looking at his penance. And then what he did? He actually sent Menaka to distract Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra got distracted. And he had a baby also with her. And finally, when Vishwamitra realized that it was actually he was tricked by Indra, then Vishwamitra left her forever. Yeah. So even for we can't even think how big sage Vishwamitra is. Yeah. He's such a big yogi. Even for them to control their minds, who has got Purushottam, they very well know what is right and wrong. Even for them, their mind gets forcibly taken away by the senses. Right? Similarly, there is another example in Bhagavatam about Bhari Muni. He was a great sage, and he was doing tapasya under the water because he never wanted to get distracted. And he was doing tapasya, under the water. And after years and years and years of penance, he just opened his eyes and saw two fish mating. And then he just came up and went to King Mandata and asked for his daughters to get married. So it is so difficult to control us, even for great yogis like Vishwamitra and Saurabh Muni. But there are examples in stories in Bhagavatam. It says, the stroke we are in from 60 to 63, it will talk about how actually we can control our senses. Yeah, it talks about if your senses, if you have actually focused your senses towards Krishna and doing the devotional service to Krishna, you can control your senses. And there's one story about Amrish Muni, Raja Amrish, and that story. So again, Amrish Raja, he was a great king, and he was a very, very big devotee of Vishnu. Yeah. all his senses he used to actually use for Vishnu. He used to, if he had to travel, he'll go to a place of pilgrimage. His words used to be prayers. So all his senses were always engaged in the worship of God. Now, what happened is, once he was doing his Ekadashi Vrata and he was in Vrindavan, and he wanted to, he wanted to be there, and then he wanted to basically to break the fast and then feed all the Brahmins. In the meantime, the great Durvasa Muni, he came to visit him. And Amrish Muni, Maharaja Amrish, he welcomed him very nicely. He welcomed him, he honored him, and then he was also invited for the feast because he was a great Muni. Then Durvasa Muni said, I need to go to Yamuna, take bath, and I'll come. Now, Amrish Maharaj is waiting. And when you're doing a Vrat, Ekadashi Vrat, there's a Parayan time, there's a fast breaking time. Within that, you have to break the fast, otherwise it becomes, you don't get the benefit of it. So the Parayan time was actually lapsing. So what happened was, he was wondering that till now he hasn't come. So he asked the priest, Amrish Maharaj asked the priest, what should be done? He said, okay, you take 1 drop of Chanamrit. That nothing will happen. It will break also and not break also. So Amrish Maharaj, he took 1 drop of Chanamrit. Now, at that point of time, what happened? Durvasa Muni came. And we all know about how the anger of Durvasa Muni. Now, what he did was, he saw, he could, by his mystic power, he could know that Amrish Maharaj has actually broken the fast. It is the right way is, the Maharaja should not eat unless he has honored all the Brahmins. He can't honor the prasadam. So now what he did was, he became so angry, Durvasa Muni became so angry that he took one strand of hair from his this and it threw on the ground. And from there a demon came. And that demon actually attacked Amrish Maharaj. Amrish Maharaj was Astit Pragya, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. He was free from attachment, bhai and krodh. He was standing there. If this is what is the mercy, desire of Krishna, let him take me. I'm fine. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we all have to go one day. If this is how I am to be taken, let him take me away. But then what happened? Krishna is Bhaktavatsala. He will not leave. If anyone is troubling his devotee, he will not excuse. That we should know. Yeah. So what happened? Immediately the Sudarshan Chakra came and killed the demon. And not only the Sudarshan Chakra killed the demon, it actually started after Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni started running for his life. He went to Brahma, he went to Shiva, he went to Nara, he went everywhere. But what happened? No one was ready to save him. Finally, when he went to Narayan, he says, see, no one can save you. Even I. You have to go back to Amrish Muni and ask for forgiveness. And what he did was, finally, after a year of running, he came back to Amrish Maharaj and fell on his feet. And Amrish Maharaj was so great. He was actually very, he was feeling very bad that, such a big Brahmin is now here. So he prayed to Vishnu to take back the Sudarshan Chakra. And then he forgave him and he took him in. So this is why Amrish Maharaj could do it, because he was a great devotee. So when your senses are completely engaged in devotional service of Krishna, you have the power to control yourself. Yeah. Here actually Krishna is, especially after this shlok, Krishna will start talking about, he will first time mention about himself, right? So till now, so here he talks about the greatness of bhakti over Gyan. Vishwamitra and they were Gyanis, they were yogis, and Amrish was a Bhakt. So here he has differentiated in this shlok. Yeah. So with this, we will actually close today's class. It's time. So let's say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.